Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare
Hare Krishna devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All the Shri Prabhupada. Welcome devotees to morning Bhagavatam class. This morning, I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm actually excited that we are starting a new chapter. Canto 1, chapter 16, verse 1, and the chapter is entitled How Parikshit Received the Age of Kali. And we're very happy to start the chapter with His Grace Balabhadra Bhattacharya Prabhu from ISKCON Atlanta. Hare Krishna Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna Maharaji, accept my obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
And I'm glad that I get to sit in your class this time, Prabhu.
I'm happy you're here.
I am so happy this morning when I looked at the roster, I told my husband, Balabhadra Prabhu, I got to sit in this class for once. I was so happy. And it's all yours, Prabhu. Thank you.
Thank you. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Haribo 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 Nitai Goda Haribo Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajakachaja Stotadasita Shri Shrimad Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Nitilila Pravishtam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajakachaja Stotadasita Shri Shrimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasid Go Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinatha Shyamakunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Navadip Dham Ki Jai Mayapur Dham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Nilachala Dham Ki Jai Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani Ki Jai Shri Shri Gaunitai Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Sarat Bihari Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Tosa Devi Ki Jai Jamuna Mai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Swami Veda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai Sankirtan Jagat Ki Jai Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai Go Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru Shri Guranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay. Chapter 16, text number 1. How Parikshit received the age of Kali. Sutu vacha tata parikshit dvijavarja sikshaya mahim mahabhagavata sashasaha yata hi sutam abhijata kovida samadhishan vipra mahagunastata. Sutta uvacha tata parikshit dvijavarja sikshaya mahim mahabhagavata sashasaha yata hi sutam abhijata kovida samadhisan vipra mahagunastata. Sutta uvacha tata parikshit dvijavarja sikshaya mahim mahabhagavata sashasaha yata hi sutam abhijata kovida samadhishan vipra mahagunastata. Next.
Suto vacha tata parikshit vijavarya shikshaya ahim mahabhagavata saha yata hi sutyam abhijata kovida samadhishan vipra mahadgunastata.
Hare Krishna.
Sutta vacha tata parikshit vijavarya shikshaya mahim maya bhagavata sasasaha yata hi sutyam habijata kovidha samadhishan vipra mahad gunastata. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anyone else? Word for word. Sutta Uvacha, Sutta Goswami said, Tata, thereafter, Parikshit, Maharaj Parikshit, Dvija Varja, the great twice-born Brahmanas. Shikshaya, by their instructions, Mahim, the earth, Mahabhagavata, the great devotee, Shashasa, ruled, Ha, in the past, Yata, as they told it, he certainly, Sutyam, at the time of his birth, Abhijata, Hovida, expert astrologers at the time of birth, Samadhi Shan, gave their opinions, Vipra, O Brahmanas, Mahat Guna, great qualities, Tata, true to that. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Sutta Goswami said, O learned Brahmanas, Maharaj Parikshit then began to rule over the world as a great devotee of the Lord under the instructions of the best of the twice-born Brahmanas. He ruled by those great qualities which were foretold by expert astrologers at the time of his birth. Purport. At the time of Maharaj Parikshit's birth, the expert astrologer Brahmanas foretold some of his qualities. Maharaj Parikshit developed all those qualities, being a great devotee of the Lord. The real qualification is to become a devotee of the Lord, and gradually all the good qualities worthy of possession develop. Maharaj Parikshit was a Mahabhagavata, or a first-class devotee, who was not only well-versed in the science of devotion, but also able to convert others to become devotees by his transcendental instructions. Maharaj Parikshit was therefore a devotee of the first order, and thus he used to consult great sages and learned Brahmanas who could advise him by the Shastras how to execute the state administration. Such great kings were more responsible than modern elected executive heads because they obliged the great authorities by following their instructions left in Vedic literatures. There was no need for impractical fools to enact daily new legislative bills, a new legislative bill, and to conveniently alter it again and again to serve some purpose. The rules and regulations were already set forth by great sages like Manu, Yajnavalkya, Parashara, and other liberated sages. And the enactments were all suitable for all ages and all places Therefore, the rules and regulations were standard and without flaw or defect. Kings like Maharaj Parikshit had their council of advisors, and all the members of that council were either great sages or brahmanas of the first order. They did not accept any salary, nor had they any necessity for such salaries. The state would get the best advice without expenditure. They were themselves Samadarshi, equal to everyone, both man and animal. They would not advise the king to give protection to man and instruct him to kill the poor animals. Such council members were not fools or representatives to compose a fool's paradise. They were all self-realized souls, and they knew perfectly well how all living beings in the state would be happy, both in this life and in the next. They were not concerned with the hedonistic philosophy of eat, drink, be merry, and enjoy. They were philosophers in the real sense, and they knew well what is the mission of human life. Under all these obligations, the advisory council of the king would give correct directions, and the king or executive head, being himself a qualified devotee of the Lord, would scrutinizingly follow them for the welfare of the state. The state in the days of Maharaj Yudhisthira or Maharaj Parikshit was a welfare state in the real sense of the term, because no one was unhappy in that state, be he man or animal. Maharaj Parikshit was an ideal king for a welfare state of the world. Om Ganati Miranda Sajanan Janan Salakaya Chaksu Militam Yena Tasma Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupagadap Mayam Dadati Swapadantikam Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Go Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So this verse and the purport are very, very important. Of course, everything in the Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita and Srila Prabhupada's books are important. But sometimes we are blessed with purports that give very practical guidance to the members of this movement. Here, the guidance is actually given to the leaders of the movement further down in the purport. And we'll come to that in a minute. And I'm very happy that Anasuya Prabhu is here. So as leaders, and then Parikshit Prabhu as well, and Gita Mataji as well, as leaders in the movement, this instruction is very important for us to think about very carefully. So in the beginning of the purport, Srila Prabhupada starts by saying, at the time of Maharaj Parikshit's birth, the expert astrologer Brahmanas foretold some of his qualities. Maharaj Parikshit developed all those qualities, being a great devotee of the Lord. The real qualification is to become a devotee of the Lord, and gradually all good qualities worthy of possession develop. So sometimes, we read something and we try to find verses that Srila Prabhupada is more or less paraphrasing in his purport. So to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, the verse that he's referring to about the qualities of the devotee is from the 5th canto, 18th chapter, verse number 12. It's a very famous verse that's quoted a lot by devotees. Yashasti bhaktir bhagavata kinchana savargunas tatra samasate sura harava bhaktasya kuto mahat guna manoratenasati davato bahi. Translation, and we'll read some of the purport. All the demigods and their exalted qualities, such as religion, knowledge, and renunciation, become manifest in the body of one who has developed on the Lord devotion for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva. On the other hand, a person devoid of devotional service and engaged in material activities has no good qualities, even if he is adept at the practice of mystic yoga or the honest endeavor of maintaining his family and relatives. He must be driven by his own mental speculations and must engage in the service of the Lord's external energy. How can there be any good qualities in such a man? And then Srila Prabhupada explains, As explained in the next verse, Krishna is the original source of all living entities. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 15:7, wherein Krishna says, Mamayavam sajiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana manatsasthanindriyani prakrutistani karshati. The living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. Due to conditioned life, they're struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind. All living entities are part and parcel of Krishna, and therefore, when they revive their original Krishna consciousness, they possess all the good qualities of Krishna in a small quantity. When one engages himself in the 9 processes of devotional service, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Bandhanam, Dasam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam, one's heart becomes purified, and he immediately understands his relationship with Krishna. He then revives his original quality of Krishna consciousness. And then further in the purport, Srila Prabhupada refers to Krishnadas Kaviraj. Krishnadas Kaviraj lists the following 26 good qualities of a Vaishnava. 1, he is very kind to everyone. 2, he does not make anyone his enemy. 3, he is truthful. 4, he is equal to everyone. 5, no one can find any fault in him. 6, he is magnanimous. 7, he is mild. 8, he is always clean. 9, he is without possessions. 10, he works for everyone's benefit. 11, he is very peaceful. 12, he is always surrendered to Krishna. 13, he has no material desires. 14, he is very meek. 15, he is steady. 16, he controls his senses. 17, he does not eat more than required. 18, he is not influenced by the Lord's illusory energy. 19, he offers respect to everyone. 20, he does not desire any respect for himself. 21, he's very grave. 22, he's merciful. 23, he is friendly. 24, he is poetic. 25, he is expert. 26, he is silent. So it's saying that these qualities, at least I have to say for myself, I don't possess in any really significant amount these qualities, but to some degree, some of them, by practicing. Because if we don't manifest, if we don't operate with these qualities, it's almost like discrediting devotional service. If we've been practicing for some months or years, and if we don't have any degree of these qualities, that looks bad for devotional service. That means that devotional service is not working. It is working. And if we focus on devotional service, as it's saying, these qualities automatically develop in the devotee. We don't have to externally try to imitate these qualities or prematurely try to manifest them. We simply have to focus on, as Srila Prabhupada said, the process of devotional service, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Seva. When one engages himself in the 9 processes of devotional service, one's heart becomes purified, and he immediately understands his relationship with Krishna. He then revives his original quality of Krishna consciousness. Also, it says in the Bhagavatam, 1st canto, 2nd chapter, that all the things that are disturbing to the heart becomes destroyed by hearing or attending classes on the Bhagavatam, and also by hearing the messages of the Lord within the heart, Hridayantastu Bhadrani. He cleanses cleanses all these desires that we have, and then these good qualities start to manifest. So it appears in my heart, in my mind, that I simply have to focus on devotional service. And then gradually over time, by performing devotional service, these qualities become manifest. But of course, by hearing the 26 qualities of a devotee, we can think of what do we need to focus on. Just like sometimes when you're learning a new art or a new skill, people get confused because there's so many things that they can study, especially when you go on the internet. And especially for devotees, you should be careful, because learning about Krishna consciousness just from the internet can be a little confusing because there's so many opinions and so many ideas about this and about that. But here's very specific, and Srila Prabhupada says, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj said this, these 26 qualities. So my point here is that when you're studying or learning something, it's very helpful to know what to study, when to study, how to study, and what the results of studying will be. So if I say First quality is he is very kind to everyone. Wow. So to research that platform of Krishna consciousness, we can look in the Bhagavad Gita, because Krishna says in the 12th chapter, verses 13 to 20, he talks about who is a kind friend to everyone is very dear to me. So then we can confirm. Krishna says it in the Gita. Krishnadas Kaviraj is giving it here. Then we keep looking, we keep studying, researching, trying to understand. And Srila Prabhupada, I'm just reading it this morning, he said, that is the real research. Researching how to be Krishna conscious. That is the real, not this nonsense scientific research or even intellectual research. And I'm saying devotees have to be careful, because sometimes we research outside the realm of what's needed, of what's necessary to confirm what Srila Prabhupada has given us. Guru Shastra Sadhu. So to be a kind friend to everyone, what does that mean? We can just read that sentence. He's very kind to everyone. And especially in reference to Parikshit Maharaj, because that's what it's saying. So what does that mean? Kind friend to everyone, even those who are against us, who may be our enemy. Because in that 12th chapter, in that verses 13 to 20, in the first one, 13 and 14 are combined. So Srila Prabhupada says the devotee does not become his enemy's enemy. That means someone may be your enemy, someone may be antagonistic toward you, someone may be causing you trouble. And especially for us who have been in management, we know how that feels when people don't agree with us and they politic against us, so on and so forth. How do we handle that? Well, if we focus on the devotee qualities, then we can be more secure in our services, especially in management. Management is a very difficult thing. I remember my dear temple president, Balabhadra Prabhu, he was instructing me when I first became temple president. And we're going to get into that aspect of counseling and having persons that we can consult with. So Balabhadra told me, he said, Balabhadra, managing a nonprofit organization is the most difficult form of management. I was like, wow. And he said, because generally speaking, and it's mentioned here also that the Brahmins who give the counsel, they don't take a salary. So you can't motivate them. You can't corrupt them by offering them this and offering them that. No. So in a nonprofit organization where generally no one is getting paid, the only leverage you have is, first of all, your example and your ability to encourage, motivate, not by trickery, not by schemes, no, but simply by setting the example, yad yada chariti shrestat, and recognizing. And Srila Prabhupada said like this, be careful not to kill the spirit of enthusiastic service, which is voluntary. Again, volunteer organization. Prabhupada recognized that. Don't kill that spirit. What is that spirit? I want to serve Krishna. Can you help me serve Krishna as my leader? If you can't, get out of my way. Because I'm here to serve Krishna. And then I'm listening for any advice, any instruction that can help me serve Krishna and to become a kind friend to all living beings. Teach me how to do that. Show me how to do that. Let me see that in your example. As they say in the mundane world, that your example speaks louder than your words. Example is better than precept. We can speak all day, but if we can't set the example, people are going to watch it. For those of us in leadership who have been in leadership, we know what that means. People are watching us all the time because we're telling them what they should do. And they're going to look back and see, are you doing it? I remember one time, one Mataji who was helping to organize a kind of a Namhata program before Namhata became Namhata. So she was telling the devotees one night, I'm so excited by this program. She was initiated, first and second. I'm so excited by this program. I'm going to start chanting my rounds. What? And all the devotees she had been talking to and encouraging them to be Krishna conscious and chant. Now she's telling them, I'm so excited that I'm going to start chanting my rounds. And they're thinking, wait a minute, you're initiated. You're a brahmana. You're just now starting, or you've not been chanting. So people were paying attention. Everything we say. So we should try our best to set the example based on the standard that's given to us right here in these 26 qualities of a devotee. Again, we don't have to artificially try to manifest them. They manifest naturally by Krishna's grace. How is that? Because Prabhupada just said, we're part and parcel of Krishna. Mamaivam Sajiva Loke. We're part and parcel of Krishna. We have those qualities in minute quantity. They're already there. So now it's just an uncovering process. How do we uncover? Cheto, Darpanam, Marjanam, Bhava Mahada, Bhakti, Nirvapanam. That's it. We chant the holy names of the Lord. Over time, we hear Bhagavatam, we attend classes, we listen to devotees, keep practicing. If you stop the practice, then you're done. It's like an airplane flying. You know, we all have that experience. I know one of the first times I flew, that feeling when the plane separates from the ground, you feel that. It's like, I mean, we're all used to it now. So then that plane is going and going, and the amount of energy it takes to get it up, it's a lot more than once it gets there. Once it starts to coast, it's okay. They can cut back. But when it's trying to get up there, it takes so much effort. Oh, my God. But just imagine the pilot says, I'm tired of this. Let's turn this thing off. Boom, crash. Sometimes people purposely crash a plane. So if we are practicing devotional service and we slack off, back off, slow down, you don't lose what you've accumulated. It's still there. But then you kind of plateau, you're stuck. So we're meant to continue. And then what happens is we start seeing the results of our devotional service in our own lives. I was discussing this on Sunday in our Bhagavad Gita study group. And we were all so happy in that little group. We were just rejoicing, thinking how we can just remain in devotional service. And by Krishna's grace, we'll be purified, we'll be liberated. And we were all talking about our past lives, not past life before, but what we were doing before we came to Krishna consciousness, and then recognizing that we have made some advancement. And I was very honest. I said, listen, I had many problems in the beginning, overeating, whatever it might have been. But I'm saying now, after X number of years, a lot of those things that were troubling me are gone, or at least going away, and I can see it going away just by following what Srila Prabhupada has given us. So again, this point about the natural manifestation of the qualities that are already there. It's very powerful to remember. We already have the qualities. The 26 qualities of a devotee are not something external. This is who we are. Think about that. Like sometimes you say, I'm a Black person, I'm a white person. This is my history. This is my legacy, my lineage, and my whatever, my family trees and all that good stuff. But this is who we really are. Okay, we're not Indian, we're not American, we're not African American, we're not Caucasian American, we're not even women or men. This is who we really are. So we should identify. It's like people talk about self-esteem. This is another topic that I've been sort of harping on for the last couple of days. This idea of self-esteem. Correct me if I'm wrong. Generally, that refers to you trying to keep some sense of dignity about yourself. Self-esteem, who I am. Don't try to put me down. And then we defend our self-esteem. And that's really becoming a really major discussion in ISKCON, this idea of self-esteem. But what about the real self? Let's esteem the real qualities of the self. First and foremost, very kind to everyone, even to one's enemy. Because like you say, my enemy is trying to crush my self-esteem. Now, enemy, let's not blow it out of proportion. Devotees are generally not your enemy, but they may have a misconception about you, and they may criticize you and try to bring you down, try to diminish your self-esteem, either consciously or unconsciously. It happens both ways. Sometimes a devotee will say something that really makes you feel bad about it, then you just start to question yourself. But if you identify with your real self, who you really are, and it's just a question of, it just takes time for me to get to for those qualities to manifest fully. But this is who I am. I'm kind to everyone. Me, Balabhadra Bhattacharya Das. But right now, I'm not showing it 100%. Like this morning, I was taking a shower and there was a little creature crawling on the tub. And I'm thinking, why should I even disturb that little creature? I mean, sometimes I'll like flick them off and I don't know, whatever. But I was thinking this morning, why should I hurt this? What is he doing to me? Nothing. I took my shower. The little creature was still there. I said, okay, fine. You go on your way. I go on my way. So like that little practice, thinking, I'm not there yet, But if I know what to do to get there, like I said in the beginning of the discussion, when you're practicing an instrument, for instance, let's make it simple. You're practicing an instrument, but you don't know when to practice. Do you know that that's a big industry now? And I check it online. There are people who teach you what to practice, not all the stuff, because there's a million things you can learn, but they say you need to start with this and then do this, and that. And I'll show you how to do it for $50 a month. And people are signing up like anything because they want to learn that skill. So in Krishna consciousness, he is a kind friend to everyone. We need to concentrate on that. And little examples like my example this morning will manifest naturally. I didn't try to make it come out. It's just somehow Krishna just blessed me to think like that. I don't think like that all the time. But if I'm practicing chanting 16 rounds, following the regulative principles, then naturally glimpses of that come forward. So as I said in our discussion this Sunday, we were all realizing, yes, we are making advancement. And we were so happy by the end of the call, we didn't even want to stop. We're just confirming for each other, yes, we are making advancement. But what are the indicators? Here they are. So these are the 26 qualities of a devotee. And then in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 13, verses 8 through 12, which are some of my favorite verses, there is explained the 20 principles of knowledge. And Krishna says anything beyond this is ignorance. And then the first quality is humility, amani tvam, which I talk about all the time because I'm not very humble, but I'm trying my best. Humility is the first one. Here is saying being a kind friend to everyone. It requires humility to do that. All these things work together. They're all interconnected. So as you're researching Krishna consciousness, you'll find confirmation after confirmation, direction, simplicity, how to practice, what to practice, when to practice. It's incredible. Very nice devotee wrote me yesterday. He said, Prabhu, what should I read? Which book should I read? Because in our class, he was asking about pastimes of Krishna, and I encouraged him to read Krishna book. And then he wrote me back after that and said, well, what other books should I read? Because he was reading something else. So I said, Prabhu, start with Bhagavad Gita, number one. Then there's the nectar of instruction, which will teach you how to become a devotee, how to practice. Then, of course, Srimad Bhagavatam. And then I had told you already, Krishna book. So keep those in your mind, those four. Bhagavad Gita, nectar of instruction, Bhagavatam, and then Krishna book. And he was very happy. He said, thank you so much, Prabhu, because I gave him something to focus on, little box. You know, like sometimes people think outside the box. I said, you better think in the box first. Prabhupada box, like this is the box, stay in the box. Because he was actually venturing outside the Prabhupada box to study something else. And I didn't want to criticize what he was studying because there's also a bona fide thing that he had read, particular prayers. I said, they're bona fide, but not right now. I said, in fact, if you read the Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, there's so many prayers already there that Srila Prabhupada has commented on. Sometimes devotees comment on things that they read outside the box of Srila Prabhupada's books. And I have a little bit of a hesitancy. I mentioned that before. You know, I don't even trust my own opinion sometimes. So then when I hear other people's opinions, I'm kind of like, I have to see, does it fit within the box? And if it doesn't fit within the box, I'm sorry, I can't let that influence my practice. I have to stick with my practice. You know, it says, Prabhupada says, the rules and regulations of devotional service, bhakti yoga, are the bhakti lata bija. So we've received the bhakti lata bija, okay, by the mercy of the Guru. But Prabhupada explains that that seed, you know, is not just a poetic way of phrasing it, the seed of devotion. That seed is the principles of bhakti yoga, you know, the rules and regulations. That's the seed. So if we want that seed to grow, we water it by hearing and chanting, and it grows and grows. And we stick with the rules and regulations, staying within the box that Srila Prabhupada has given us. It's like a protection. It's like a fort. We're protected if we're reading Prabhupada's books, we're protected. And if we become scholars of Prabhupada's books, my God, it's just going to be wonderful. But if we venture too far out too soon, then it could be a little dangerous. So these qualities of the devotee, as mentioned here, are very, very important, and they naturally manifest. So we know that this is Parikshit Maharaj. Very nice from today. Back again. Let's see. Maharaj Parikshit developed all those qualities, being a great devotee of the Lord. The real qualifications become a devotee of the Lord. And gradually, remember that, Nasta Prayesabhadre Sud, Nityam Bhagavata Sevya. Prayeshu means gradually, not like, boom, I joined the movement last week, boom, I expect to be a pure devotee today. It doesn't happen that way. Gradually, okay? The real qualifications become a devotee of the Lord, and gradually all good qualities worthy of possession. So think about that. Worthy of possession. Some things are not worth possessing or hanging on to. Like anger. Don't hang on to that. Let it go. I had a devotee say to me once, I love this devotee, but he said, when I become angry, I don't even care my Guru Maharaj. I was like, my God, wow. It was shocking, but I had to deal with it because I was the temple president. You know what I'm saying, honestly, because sometimes you hear stuff, you just have to deal with it. So I didn't react and say, you idiot, you this, you that. No, I had to find a way to help that devotee over that hump. And throughout the years of my association with him, I gradually helped him tweak that misunderstanding to a real understanding. You don't have anything other than the lotus feet of your spiritual master. How do you expect to go back to Godhead unless that's not what you want? See, sometimes devotees are confused. They don't even know what they really want. Prema Pumarta Mahan. We want love of God, but I'm not going to, I'm going to get angry and forget my guru. How are you going to get love of God? That's what you say you want. First, you have to know what is it that I want. Now, here's the thing. When we first come to Krishna consciousness, we're not even sure what we really want. Maybe we came out of distress. Maybe we came looking for some security, respect. I don't know. We came for different reasons. We know it mentions in Bhagavad Gita, 4 kinds of people come. But once we realize that the ultimate goal is Krishna and love of Krishna, and the process is defined nicely, then we start moving forward. But sometimes the devotees are confused. Sometimes we get sidetracked and we want material gains in Krishna consciousness, or we want material fame in Krishna consciousness. Be very careful of that desire for respect in the society. Devotee is never looking for respect, but the devotee is always anxious to give respect, right? Lord Chaitanya said, one should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street, devoid of all sense of false prestige, ready to offer all respect to others, not expecting honor for oneself. This is the practice. It's difficult. It goes against the grain of what we have been taught our whole life, and it goes against the grain of what sometimes devotees start studying and researching outside the box. They hear something from some sophisticated material concept, and they try to superimpose that in their life and devotional service. Be very careful. Some things that we read outside of Prabhupada's box, you can apply. Like, for instance, there's a statement one gentleman said, begin with the end in mind. If you know what the goal is you want, then you just go for that. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita as well. Ekeha Kurunandana, have one point of attention. You know where you're trying to go. Exactly. So that's a nice phrase. So Prabhupada sometimes would say, this is a mundane example, and he would give the example, which would explain in simple terminology Krishna consciousness. But be very careful. Ground ourselves in what Srila Prabhupada has given us. Then we can process everything else that comes in from wherever it might be coming in. And therefore, we have to be careful what we bring into our hearing process. The Shravanam is number one. First thing, we have to protect it. Really have to protect Shravanam, because there's so many distractions, even from devotees, because they themselves have become confused about why did I join the movement? And then they get sidetracked by so many things that have no value regarding the eternal mission of going back to Godhead. Let us not forget that this body will be destroyed at some point. No matter what we try to do to maintain it, it's going to deteriorate. So if we try to maintain some prestige in our movement amongst devotees, that's very fleeting, comes and it goes. And if we make that our mission during our day, during our week, during our month, during our year, trying to figure out how to have some position in this society, how to be respected. No. Actually, I really want to read something in a minute. So let me go to that. It's all about Lord Chaitanya's journey to South India. And it relates to another part of the purport. Let me go to it right now. In the purport, it says, the real qualification is to become a devotee of the Lord, and gradually all the good qualities were their possession developed. Maharaj Parikshit was a Mahabhagavata, or a first-class devotee, who was not only well-versed in the science of devotion, but also able to convert others to become devotees by his transcendental instructions. Maharaj Parikshit was therefore a devotee of the first order, and thus he used to consult. So that's the second part. Let me stop there, because that goes into another point. So here it talks about converting others to Krishna consciousness. So in that regard, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila 2, chapter 7, the Lord's tour of South India. Now, these are some of the verses that really give you joy if you think about them. If you just stop all the stuff that's happening in our mind, okay, put it aside. I know we're all hungry. Breakfast is coming. I know we have to go to work. Okay, fine. I know some of us don't feel good. Fine. Put all that stuff to the side. Just listen. Shravana, just listen to this. And I remember, I hadn't read this in a long time, but when I started reading it last night, preparing for today, I just brought joy to my heart. I said, oh God, this is the stuff that gets me fired up. So let me share it with you. And I won't do all the Bengali because it's really sweet, but this one verse everyone pretty much knows. So here, first it says, almost like a mad lion, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went on his tour filled with ecstatic love and performing Sankirtan, chanting Krishna's names as follows. Krishna, 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 hey. Krishna, 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 hey. Krishna, 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 Rakshamam. Krishna, 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 Pahimam. Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rakshamam. Krishna Kesava, Krishna Kesava, Krishna Kesava, Pahimam. That is, O Lord Krishna, please protect me and maintain me. He also chanted, Ram Raghava, Ram Raghava, Ram Raghava, Ram Raghava, Rakshamam, Krishna Kesava, Krishna Kesava, Krishna Kesava, Pahimam. That is, O Lord Ram, descendant of King Raghu, please protect me. O Krishna, O Kesava, killer of the Keshi demon, please maintain me. And then he began his tour. Chanting this verse, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, known as Goda Hari, went on his way. As soon as he saw someone, he would request him to chant Hari Hari. Now remember, we're talking about Parikshit Maharaj being a great devotee by being able to make others into devotees. So this will really explain it. Translation. Let me read one Bengali sloka. Se loka prema mata hana bale Hari Krishna Prabhuda paiche sange jai darshana sashna. Wow, sashna. That's a tough word. Sashna. Anyway, whoever heard Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chant Hari Hari also chanted the holy name of Lord Hari and Krishna. In this way, they all followed the Lord, very eager to see him. Footnote, side note. I read this also once, and it said that you call yourself a leader and you're going, but no one's walking behind you. He said, you're only taking a walk. You're really not a leader. If the leader goes, others will follow. So listen to this. Whoever heard Lord Chaitanya chant Hari Hari also chanted the holy name of the Lord Hari and Krishna. In this way, they all followed the Lord. He's a real leader, very eager to see him. Then it goes on. After some time, the Lord would embrace these people and bid them return home, having invested each of them with spiritual potency. Now, you have to hear this purport. It's very short. It's all about being empowered. You know, we always talk about being empowered. Let's look at it a little bit here. In his Amrita Prabha Bhashya, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains that this spiritual potency is the essence of the pleasure potency and the knowledge potency. By these two potencies, one is empowered with devotional service. Lord Krishna himself or his representative, the unalloyed devotee, can mercifully bestow these combined potencies upon any man. Being thus endowed with such potencies, one can become an unalloyed devotee of the Lord. Anyone favored by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was empowered with this bhakti shakti. Thus, the Lord's followers were able to preach Krishna consciousness by divine grace. Next verse. Each of these empowered persons would return to his own village. Who knows that verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita about staying in your own village and becoming a guru? Who knows the verse? You can unmute. If you unmute quickly, you get a cookie. Yare deke tada kaha Krishna upadesh amar agahana tada edesh. Lord Chaitanya told the Brahmin, what's his name? Kurma? Kurma. But he wanted to travel with Lord Chaitanya. He said, want to go with Lord Chaitanya. No. Don't ever say this again. Stay in your own village and tell everyone about Krishna. In this way, I'm pointing to all of you here, you become guru. Interesting, right? So, yes. So he empowered them. People from different villages would come to see such an empowered individual who would become like him simply by seeing him and receiving him. I think I missed one. Let me go back again here. Yeah. Each of these empowered persons would return to his own village, always chanting the holy name of Krishna and sometimes laughing, crying, and dancing. I identify with this a lot because I returned to my own village. My village is called East Point, Georgia. And Mother Gita knows that place because she's been there with me many times. That's my hometown. That's my village. I was so happy to return there. I had it in my heart. I have to go back there and do something because when I was there as a young man, I did some bad things. I took some bad things to East Point. So I have to correct all that. So I remember several programs. One in specific, we used to do a Christmas program there in my elementary school where I went to elementary school. And I remember the night, this one Mataji from the temple, she has since passed away, beautiful, Mother Carol, beautiful. And she played beautiful piano. So she was sitting in the lobby playing these sort of Christmas songs and chanting Hare Krishna. And an old friend of mine from the neighborhood, who I asked to be our security at the program, was standing there with her and just singing and just being in the association of devotees. And devotees were all over the place. I said, oh my God, I brought Krishna consciousness back to this community. And you all know Sikhi Mahiti Prabhu. So I took him one time to another program and it was doing Gita Jayanti. So Sikhi Mahiti was in his dhoti, shaved up, out in the street in front of the same building. It's adjacent to my old apartments that had become a haven for drug trafficking. And all the drug dealers would drive right along that one street. There was only one way in and one way out. You've heard about places like that. So anyway, Sikhi Mahiti is in the street, stopping the drug dealers, stopping everybody. He gave 60 Bhagavad Gitas that day to people from my old neighborhood. And I was like, oh my God, by Krishna's grace, I was able to be a part of this wonderful thing. And then the last point, my high school band director, I asked him to be one of our keynote speakers at an event along with some devotees. And he said in that program, he said, Benny, my name was Benny, said, Benny, he was always my best student. I tried to bring culture to this community and Benny has done it. I was like, wow, how sweet, how sweet. So by just doing the simple Krishna conscious things, chanting Hare Krishna, people will follow. Oh, I have one more little pastime. This is really sweet. We were on Harinam one night. It was on Thanksgiving night. In Atlanta, there was this program called Lighting of the Christmas Tree in downtown Atlanta. 300,000 or 400,000 people would attend, seriously. So we would go there and do kirtan. After the tree was lit, they all came by us. So we were chanting and chanting and chanting. So this one girl, African-American girl, she jumped into the kirtan, stayed with the kirtan for the whole time. And then we were leaving and we were walking back to the parking lot. She stayed with the kirtan. And then we got back to the parking lot, getting in the van. You know what she said to us? She said, you can't leave me like this. Don't leave me like this. In other words, she was so ecstatic. She was saying, don't leave me. Stay with me and keep chanting. Wow. It's just beautiful. So such an empowered person would request everyone and anyone, whomever he saw, to chant the holy name of Krishna. In this way, all the villagers would also become devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then the purport, very short. In order to become an empowered preacher, one must be favored by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or his devotee, the spiritual master. One must also request everyone to chant the Maha Mantra. Okay, you get the mercy of the spiritual master. Now, what are you going to do? Request everyone to chant the Maha Mantra. Same thing. Yare Deke Tada Krishna Upadesh. Become guru by asking everyone to chant. What are you waiting on? What are we waiting on? Well, I need the degree. I need 3 degrees, then I can become guru. Yeah, right. Well, Chaitanya didn't say that. He said, just go knock on the door and say, please chant Hare Krishna. Or you meet someone on the street, you find some way to explain it to them, and you intelligently get them to chant. If they chant Hare Krishna one time with a little sincerity by your association, that is the greatest benefit they will get in their entire life. It begins their life by doing that. Why wouldn't we do it? I heard another example. It's a mundane example. This man was trying to explain about giving something important to people. So he said, just like if you have this fuzzy pill in your pocket, it's been in your pocket for a while, it's got all the lint on this little fuzzy pill, but that little fuzzy pill can cure cancer. What would you do with it? Like you say, you have this business opportunity and save someone's financial life. What would you do? You talk to everyone. So we have Krishna consciousness. The Hare Krishna mantra, the name of the Lord. If you want to say fuzzy pill, it doesn't look nice to everybody, but you know what it can do. What are you going to do with it? And I'll stick it back in my pocket because people are not interested. Or this is like in the South, they say, this is a Bible belt. No one's going to listen. Nah, you just give it. Don't worry about if they won't listen. That depends on Krishna. And Krishna's waiting on you to express your mercy to these suffering people. Pada dukkha dukhi. He's just checking us to see, do you really have mercy in your heart? Are you a kind friend to all living beings? Do you even have the first quality of a devotee? Are you really, let it manifest? Wow, think about that. Being a kind friend to all living beings, all you have to do is give them the holy name. You can't be more kind than that, because that will protect them from falling off the cliff into the material world, the material pool, if we just give them the holy name. And then Prabhupada said, we were listening to one lecture by Srila Prabhupada during our Srila Prabhupada festival every month. And Prabhupada said, even if they don't hear, you should chant. Why? Because it purifies the environment around them. They will get the benefit because the holy name purifies everything around it. So don't worry about whether people gather around us during the kirtan. We have hundreds of people and everybody's dancing. Maybe. I saw a video last night from London, and it was in this very fancy theater, and devotees were on the stage chanting. The whole auditorium was hands up, jumping and chanting, everybody. But you're not going to always have that. Prabhupada didn't start with that. He started sitting down, no one jumping, no one chanting, people jeering at him, looking at him, police telling him to move. But he had the faith in the holy name that it would spread. And then someone came, Brahmananda came, they all started coming. So that is the whole idea. In order to become an empowered preacher, one must be favored by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or his devotee, the spiritual master. One must also request everyone to chant the Maha Mantra. So if we want to be empowered, which we all should, how do we do it? One must also request everyone to chant the Maha Mantra in order to be empowered. In this way, such a person can convert others to Vaishnavism, showing them how to become a pure devotee or be pure devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A little bit more. People from different villages who came to see such an empowered individual would become like him simply by seeing him and receiving the mercy of his glance. When each of these newly empowered individuals returned to his own village, he also converted the villagers into devotees. And when others came from different villages to see him, they were also converted. Thus, many hundreds of people became Vaishnavas when they passed the Lord on the way and were embraced by him. In whatever village Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stayed to accept alms, many people came to see him. By the mercy of the Supreme Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all these persons became first-class devotees. Later, they became teachers or spiritual masters and liberated the entire world. Last verse. In this way, the Lord went to the extreme southern part of India and he converted all the provinces to Vaishnavism. So just finishing off today's purport, at the end, it talks about following the advice of a spiritual counsel. So this is something very practical for us who are in leadership, those who are aspiring for leadership, those who have been in leadership. This is such an important thing. And I'm so happy that Anasuya and Pariksha are here, because I want to tell you how, when I was temple president, that I had some struggles in the beginning, but I had one good quality. I knew how stupid I was. I knew I didn't know anything because it was the first time I had done it. So I depended on different devotees, like my friend Ranganath in New Orleans. He was an experienced temple president. Of course, Bhattacharya Maharaj. It was just so sweet, you know. But then I finally, on the behest of His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj, established an actual spiritual council in Atlanta. Mother Gita, her husband, I'm not sure, I don't remember if Gita was on the council, but I know her husband, Gita Govinda Prabhu, was on that council. But Anasuya Prabhu and Pariksha Prabhu, your dear god sister, Bhadra, who lives in Tucson. And you know, Bhadra was an ex-Marine, first female in combat personality.
Yeah, I think her husband's name was Mahapurana.
Mahapurana, yeah.
I remember them.
Yeah, he used to call me when he first became president. We were like, so Bhadra was on this team. So I backed up. Bhadra was the chairman of the team. And Bhadra being what was she, a major? They used to call him Major something anyway. Major Joe. That's how they call it in the military. Major Joe, whatever her name was at the time. So she was really solid. Okay. And I knew that she had the experience of leadership and management. So I acquiesced my so-called leadership to let her lead that group and give good advice, very good advice. We did many things because of listening to that counsel. It's very powerful. So this is emphasized here. Suitable counsel of experienced brahmanas. Here it goes. Kings like Maharaj Parikshit had their council of advisors, and all the members of that council were either great sages or brahmanas of the first order. They did not accept any salary, nor did they have any need for a salary. The state would get the best advice without expenditure. You don't have to hire, it's there. So in every one of our communities we have, and I want to give credit to Anasuya Prabhu and Pariksha Prabhu, because I know many times, I don't consider myself any kind of an authority, but many times they have reached out to me. I want the people in your community to understand this. Many times, Anasuya Prabhu has written to me, asking me for guidance and help. Pariksha Prabhu, we've had numerous conversations back and forth. So I'm very proud of the fact that you do this. I don't know if you have a particular, counsel, but you do it regularly. And I also know that you reach out to my dear godbrother, Vishnu Gada Prabhu. And you have others that you reach out, Nutama and so on and so forth. Devotees in Harrisburg, pay attention to this example, okay? Even I think Dr. Brett was on the call. I'm not sure if he's still there, but he would call me sometimes and we would discuss different things. Don't hesitate to reach out to devotees that you consider to be more stable, more advanced, or whatever. You should have your own little spiritual council. Okay, each one of us should have our spiritual council of those that we can approach to get guidance. And we have to be careful who we take guidance from. Those who are setting the example, following Srila Prabhupada's instructions, staying within that box of Srila Prabhupada's instructions, and then not having too much pride in ourselves. Sometimes we don't want to reach out because we don't want to expose our whatever. But you make more advancement when you really reach out, like it's explaining here, depending on good spiritual counsel. So I just wanted to touch on that briefly. And I will stop there unless there's one more thing. Yeah, one quick thing about taking counsel from brahmanas. One pastime in Mayapur, I forget which year, is when we first started having temple presidents and GBC meetings. And one specific meeting, there was a disagreement between Hridayananda Maharaj and Tamal Krishna Maharaj regarding Anartha Nivritti Shah, just that concept, that when you take initiation, all the sins and everything are taken away, then you're set. And one of them said, no, but you still have to, be vigilant in your practice. So in that discussion, back and forth in the GBC meeting, Burijan Prabhu, who now is Burijan Maharaj, I believe, he had the entire 17 volumes of Chaitanya Charitamrita on his desk at the meeting. right there. Everyone knows that Burijan is a real Brahmana, okay? So he had the entire Chaitanya Charitamrita there. He pulled out the volume, I forget which one, the Gundicha Marjanam, and he was reading Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's commentary that Prabhupada puts in the purport about the taking the straws and the weeds and being careful, like Lord Chaitanya, who cleansed the temple in and out. And he said, this process is ongoing. And then both the Maharaj was like, wow, we just didn't think of that right then. Having a Brahmana on site whose focus really helped us. So that's really nice. Just there's so many ways that we can stay on track by hearing from those who are dedicated, especially to Srila Prabhupada, dedicated to Prabhupada. Even they may be struggling here and there, but if they're dedicated to Srila Prabhupada, that will help us in our journey on this platform, going back home, back to Godhead. So I will stop. I know it's a little bit late, but if anyone has a question or a comment.
Prabhu, thank you so much for this wonderful class. As I said, when I knew that I could join your class this morning, Prikshit was, I was excited. He says, I know why you're excited. So
I was excited. I was excited seeing you here because I know generally you have to do other things.
I have to switch my services now because of, how the DT service and Prikshit's health and all that. So it's going to be a little rocky, but I'm just happy that I could join this class. But yes, Mother Geeta, go ahead with your question, Mother, please.
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Gita.
Yes, Prabhu, I'm also always excited to hear your class and always something new to learn. And thank you for being my spiritual counselor.
Krishna.
And something you said really stuck hard on my head was Prabhupada box. I have not heard that before, and that's very, very important. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you.
It just came in my mind as we were talking. It's just, it just became a visual, like here we are, and devotees venture out from that, what I just call Prabhupada box. I hadn't heard it before either. Someone said, Balabhadra is just speculating. But anyway, it's a little, it's like a little protective box. Because the concept is think outside the box. Why should you think outside Prabhupada? It doesn't make any sense at all. And if you do venture outside Prabhupada, you better make sure that whatever you're looking at can be used inside that box. Because renunciation of things that can be used in Krishna service is incomplete renunciation. I forget the verse right now, the Sanskrit, but it is incomplete. If you can use something in Krishna service, then okay. A phrase, a thought. For instance, I think I wrote it down. Yeah. In the purport, the word polite, I believe, came in there. No, not polite. What was the word? Oh, obliged. Prikshit Maharaj obliged the Brahmanas. So I said, okay, that's an interesting turn of phrase. So I looked it up. The term obliged is often used in a polite context, emphasizing a willingness to be of service or to meet someone's expectations. So he obliged the Brahmanas. He made them feel good about their service. He brought them into his counsel, obliged their knowledge, allowed them to speak and share. So as leaders, we should keep that in mind. So again, words, examples, things can be used in Christian service, but you have to be expert to be able to do that when you go outside that box. You have to really solidify your understanding of Srila Prabhupada's teachings up to a point, because you can never understand all of it. I'm listening to some lectures right now from Srila Prabhupada. I listen every morning. And I just noticed this morning that Srila Prabhupada, in this series of lectures, it's all from the fifth canto, fifth chapter, verse 1. And right now I'm looking at 10 lectures. Prabhupada gave them that one verse. 10. And there's actually more, because I just went through them. He started, I think, in Africa. He went to England. Now he's in Stockholm, Hyderabad, Johannesburg, Delhi, Vrindavan, Bombay, Delhi. Same verse, 551. What are we in some kind of hurry? I mean, you can take one verse and stay on it for weeks and months till you finally get it. Because every time you chant japa, Every time you do service, you get more purified and more realization manifest. That's the secret. You just keep serving. As you said, the 26 qualities manifest. You keep serving. And all the knowledge you want, Dadami Buddhi Yogam, comes when you do service with love. It's amazing. The whole process is amazing. So really get secure. I'll say it again, in that Prabhupada box. Stay in there. It's very safe in there. And then when you have to go out on Sankirtan, you have to go to work, you're just so solid. You're ready. You're protected. And that box begins in the morning with the Bhagavatam classes or Chaitanya Charitamrita classes. And if you're not able to physically attend, Prabhupada's classes are available on prabhupadvani.org, all of them. Just amazing. I listen to them every day. And that will keep you in that Srila Prabhupada box. Thank you, Gita. Thank you so much.
Prabhu, thank you so much for addressing the Prabhupada box, because that was one of my takeaway too, actually.
It's going to get me in trouble, right?
No, Prabhu, I'm just glad that Mother Gita, mentioned that, because that was one point that I took away from it too. And as you were speaking, Prabhu, first of all, I want to thank you so much for an amazing class, and thank you for always allowing me to bother you and bug you, and anytime I need guidance and extra guidance and counsel, and I'm so glad that I have you, I have Vishnupada Prabhu, I have Nuttama Prabhu. These are the three that I mainly go to. Sometimes I lean on, when I need to vent, then I kind of call my God brothers, God sisters who are in management, or even, Ananda Vrindavan in DC. But when I need guidance, I know who I need to go to. So I'm very grateful. And I think, Prabhu, to be honest with you, and like you said, it should be someone. It's not anybody, like you said. We should be very careful who we go to. And I literally saw, and Prakshit can definitely attest to that too, I'm sure. We saw our spiritual master do that, because he would always tell us that sometimes we disciples think that the sannyasis got it, but they also have the moments where they need to lean on another person's shoulder. And I've heard Bhaktitirtha Swami says that he has extended himself, reached out to, sannyasis like Jayapataka Swami, Radhanath Swami, Bhakticharu Swami, Satsrup Maharaj, like his seniors. And that too, not all. He's very selective. And he taught us that. And I saw him do that. And he shared that with us. So that always stuck with me, always stuck with me. It's very weird when Anuttama Prabhu comes and asks me, Anusuya, what do you think? I'm like, Prabhu, you're my ABC. You tell me and I do. But he just gives that space, of reciprocation, which I really, really appreciate. So that's why, even though I may have a little thing in my mind that says, but this is the right thing, but let me get a double confirmation.
Exactly. Thank you for pointing that out. That's so important.
I always do that. There are some situations where I know that I've heard it like 1,000,000 times, so I know this is it. This is triple 1,000 confirmation. But when I want to really confirm again, and I always bug you and Vishnupada Prabhu and Anuttama Prabhu all the time, like I bugged Anuttama Prabhu when he was on the way to the airport. So I really want to thank you, Prabhu, so much for that. But there was a couple of points, Prabhu. My question from this amazing class, Prabhu, you said is, and I made note of it, how Prabhupada was mentioning in the verse, in the purport, that the members of the council were either great sages, which of course we don't have that so much now. Our sannyasis are overbooked, stressed out like anything.
Yeah.
But then he says brahmanas of the first order. Can you explain that term, Prabhu? Brahmanas of the first order, please.
Let me think about it for a second, because, there are brahmanas and there are brahmanas. So we have brahmanas who are Mayavadis and personalists and all kinds of brahmanas, And then for our understanding, first order would be Bhagavad Gita. What is the verse? Samo Dhammastapal Saucham Shantur Arjabamevacham Jnana Vijnanamastikam Brahma Karma Svabhajam. So they have to be in that space.
1842.
1842. That's a very important verse, because, these are the qualities of a Brahmana. It also talks about the qualities of the Sudra, Kshatriya, Vaishya, but the qualities. So what are they? Samo Dhammastapal. Sometimes I forget the Sanskrit, but I'm sure Pariksha could give word for word on each one of those, right? Gita, you know the word for Samodhamastapa Saucham? Saucham means cleanliness, I know, right?
No, Prabhu, sorry.
So
Satya means cleanliness. Yes.
yeah. So samo means is it peacefulness?
Yes, Prabhu. I pulled up the verse because I
Okay,
am
give
a
the
million
word for
times
word. Give the
worse
word.
than all of you are.
Yeah.
Sama means peacefulness, dhamma, self-control, tapa, austerity, socham, purity,
Purity.
shanti, tolerance,
Mm.
arjavam, honesty, jnanam, knowledge, vijnanam,
Practical.
wisdom,
Mm.
astikyam, religiousness, brahma of brahmana.
There you go. That kind of person with those qualities on a greater degree, or at least they're on a progressive march towards the perfection of those qualities. So that's how you see whether or not this person is really a Brahmana. And in my life, I've had many really high quality Brahmanas in my growing up. I remember one devotee, Jaya Madhava. He was so funny. When he, every week he would take his japa beads and wash them so nicely and clean. Every week he would clean his japa beads, and his head was always properly shaved, and he dressed so beautifully. And they would take him to the most, and Gita knows this area, Buckhead. Buckhead in Atlanta is like where all the rich people live, right? So they would take his name was Jaya Dharma. Beautiful Brahmachari, looked like a little Martian, his big head, dark eyebrows. He had one of those Kirby garbage can things, Kirby things, brand new, clean, and he put Bhagavad Gitas in the Kirby. Brand new, was never touched by garbage, filled up with Bhagavad Gitas. And they drop him off in the most expensive neighborhood in Atlanta. And all day long, he would just preach and distribute Bhagavad Gita. And his dhoti, and he was just so attractive in Krishna. He was just a beautiful devotee, really first-class Brahmin. Every morning up on time, very nice. So yeah, we just have to see based on those qualities. And within those qualities, the one that sticks out to me the most, there's jnana, but then the big jnana is the one that sticks out to me the most. Sometimes it's described as knowledge by practical application.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been studying these books, and then we should apply what we learn, and then it becomes realization, practical and real. And then you never go away from that. Once it becomes a realization, you can't go away from it, because now you know it's not enough just to read it, but you have to apply it. And Prabhupada always talked about that. Read my books and apply. So so first-class Brahmana would be someone who is focusing on the qualities of a Brahmana and systematically or progressively manifesting the qualities. Now, if you say a devotee Brahmana, it's somewhat different. There's a Brahmana, then there's a devotee Brahmana.
Mm-hmm.
And a devotee is higher than a Brahmana. Brahmana is supposed to be very high, but the Vaishnava is higher than that. There's actually a book I have by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta about the Vaishnava and the Brahmana like that. Vaishnava is higher. Because a Brahmana can be an impersonalist. An impersonalist can be clean and religious and knowledge, every one of those things they can have. But if they don't have Krishna, then you don't want that. You want the Brahmana who's devoted to Krishna. At least that's my understanding of that.
Prabhu, thank you so much. Absolutely. And especially the last point you said that a Brahmana can be all that, but it can be Mayavadi, whereas a Vaishnava is higher. That's really a powerful point. And I remember seeing that book, and I don't know if I have a copy. I have to track that book done by Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj. Vaishnava, no, Brahmana or Vaishnava, something like that.
Yeah, some title. I have that here,
Very old copy, very old copy. I have to dig on my bookshelf, but thank you so much, Prabhu. My other question, Prabhu, is you mentioned a very powerful point. Mm-hmm. How do we protect our hearing when we are not aware, when we ourselves are in that mixed devotion stage, right? Mm-hmm. When one is in a mixed devotion stage where everything attracts because our nature is juicy, wants the juice. You know what? I'm trying to find the right way, but I'm not getting the right word. When we're just catching, like they say, when the flies go, they go to anything, because it's so juicy. But how do we protect our hearing when one has that nature, Prabhu?
Again, this is something we were discussing on our Sunday Bhagavad Gita study group about where we are in Krishna consciousness right now. And we were being honest, like, do you still watch a movie? And I said, sure, I've watched a few here and there, whatever. Do I still like music? Yeah, I listen to it, but I have a purpose when I do those things. So if you're allowing yourself to be exposed to certain sound vibrations, some of them you can't avoid. You have to go to work. So when you go to work, there's like all this stuff around you. So that's why you have to really spend the Brahma Muhurta hours as much as possible, preparing yourself for the world outside, because you can't hide. Being the Prabhupada box doesn't mean you just hide under this like that. No, it means you fortify your Krishna consciousness. You prepare yourself, just like going to war. You put on your stuff, or police might be a better example. They put on their vest, they got their this, now they got these little cameras, they got so much stuff. It's like 50 pounds of stuff they got to carry. But they got to be prepared. They might get shot. And you know how they do it? This vest they put up here, you know why they put it up here? Because that's where the vital organs are. They don't put it on the leg. You get shot there, you can make it. You get shot up in here. That's why they put the vest here. They're ready when they go out there. So then in Krishna consciousness, knowing we got to go out there, our kids have to go to school, we have to go to work, I have to go and deal with my grandkids. So many things you have to do. So I make sure I protect my hearing by hearing as much as I can in the morning. And then throughout the day, here and there, try to read some more and study some more chants. You can always chant. You don't need your bees to always chant. You can chant constantly if you want, softly, whatever. When your mind starts to wander toward those other sounds, bring it back, as Krishna says in the Gita, just bring it back. Think of the deities. I told you before that on Sankirtan back in the day, I remember Sulvas, Naikadma, Vaishasika, all of us at the airport, we would stop sometimes in the middle of the day, stand in the airport and ask each other, what were the deities wearing this morning? Oh, they were wearing this color and that color and da. Because in the morning when we saw the deities in Mangal Arati, we followed Prabhupada, look at the lotus feet and gradually go up. And we just like really look at the deities nicely because we knew we needed that once we got out there in that world where all the other sound vibrations were. So pretty much protected. And devotees call that the Lord Chaitanya bubble, the Sankirtan bubble, that you're out there, but you're in this transcendental bubble because you hear. And I'll finish with this point that Vaishasika made when he gave his Sankirtan seminar in Atlanta recently. He said that, I just lost it. Oh my God, it was such a nice point. Oh, he said the rules of Sankirtan, which we mentioned, I think, last week, the laws of Sankirtan, and one of them is strong sadhana. You remember that? And I think Vaishasika is kind of using a phraseology from a place that I know, another book, where it's called the irrefutable laws of leadership. The irrefutable laws of this is a series of books by John Maxwell. Irrefutable laws. So there's these laws and rules of book distribution. Number one, strong sadhana, because you got to go out there and hear all this stuff. So that's how you make sure you can protect your hearing, by spending the time in the morning when pretty much no one's bothering you. You don't have to listen to Karmi music. You don't have to listen to your boss. None of that. You can just hear and chant the glories of the Lord. And then your consciousness will be fixed for the day. A last point. I keep saying last point, but I find another one. Anyway, my old temple president, Balabhadra Prabhu, because he was such an amazing temple president. Oh my God. If you needed him for anything, he would stop everything and just take care of you and look you in the eye. No matter what was happening around, if you needed him, boom. So he told me one time, if you can just chant one round and hear every single syllable, your mind will not be able to take you away during the day. Wow. Try that. Just think about how many mantras you don't hear when you chant 16 rounds. I know we all chant our 16 rounds, but I can promise you, I can almost guarantee we don't hear every mantra. So he said, if you can just hear one round every syllable, don't wander off anywhere, you'll be protected, or you can be focused all day. Wow. That's an instruction that I got that 40-something years ago. It's amazing. It sticks with me. So Mataji, the point is, that's how we can protect our hearing, by utilizing that early morning time, Brahma Muhurta, to prepare ourselves to deal with all the other sound vibrations. They're going to come. There's nothing you can do about it. You think Prabhupada didn't hear horns blowing? Like sometimes in your classes, what is that noise? When he was in Atlanta, the temple room was such that right next to Prabhupada's Vyasasam was the old kitchen. And during that time, it was Sunday feast, and they were getting ready, cutting up the vegetables. So you could hear chop, 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 click, 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 clicking on the board. Prabhupada stopped the class. What is that clicking sound? And then sometimes he would say, take the child out, you know. He could hear all that. But his heart was just focused on Krishna consciousness. And anything that distracts us from Krishna, you know, we can't avoid some of the things, but no one can take our internal meditation away unless we allow them. If we want to allow something to take our internal meditation away, that's up to you. It can be there. It's not going to go anywhere. It's going to be there all around us. But that internal meditation, Mahaprabhu Kirtananita Gita, Baditya Madhyam, Manasora. So the spiritual master is relishing within his own mind, Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. All this other stuff is just, who cares? What can you do about it? So if we prepare ourselves, put on our bulletproof vest, if you will, you know, and just be ready. No matter what Maya tries to throw at us, we will not be distracted. But here, let me give it to you real quick. My favorite verse nowadays, Srimad Bhagavatam 7th Canto, 14th chapter, verse 6. An intelligent man in human society should make his own program of activities very simple. If there are suggestions from his friends, children, parents, brothers, or anyone else, he should externally agree, saying, quote, yes, that is all right, end quote. But internally, he should be determined not to create a cumbersome life in which the purpose of life will not be fulfilled. So that purpose of life, we don't want anything to take us away from that. Nothing, nobody, no pain in the body, no bills to pay. People don't like me. Fine. But you're not going to take me off this, you know, understanding of the purpose of life, which is, what is that? Anyway, Swartagatim Hi Vishnu. Te Vidu Swartagatim Hi Vishnu. And Krishna Prema Pumarta Mahan. That we want this Krishna Prema. We want to be at the lotus feet of Krishna. That's what we want. And no one, no sound, nothing's going to take me away. So with one point of attention, we just keep going forward in devotional service. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. And before I forget, I was just reminded by one devotee who was on the call on this class, but he had to go because of a meeting. He wanted me to let you know, to convey that he really, really enjoyed your last class of book distribution. And he was so motivated that he said that he was on fire in his office when he was listening to your lecture.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
He couldn't keep himself in a seat, but he had to know that he had to finish work. But it was really amazing, Prabhu. I know we passed the 9 o'clock hour, but for some Krishna's arrangements, mercy, we have been going past 9, I think, because there's so much nectar and so much discussion that I'm really enjoying these classes, and I hope every one of us are enjoying. Are there any questions from devotees, any comments, reflections that you would like to share before we end this class? Anything? And if yes, Nitya Gopal, I knew you would have something.
Nitya Gopal.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandat Pranam. Wonderful, wonderful class. That is, this is one more powerful class, you know, to enlighten and get energized early morning. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu.
So wonderful. Yeah.
I knew he would say something because he was also fired up with your class from last time, Prabhu.
Now, I was thinking of Nitya Gopal when I was reading that from Chaitanya Charitamrita. And because that's one of our Sankirtan, not weapon, but that's one of the ways we would become inspired for Sankirtan, this particular pastime. Again,
Jare Deko Tare Ko Krishna Upadesh.
That's the verse, but the pastime starting in Madhya Lila 2, chapter 7, verses start in verse 95 to verse 108. That's where Lord Chaitanya is going, and he's empowering others, asking them to chant, and then they're becoming empowered, empowering others, and they're empowering others. That's real Sankirtan. That's the whole idea of Sankirtan. We want to empower people to chant Hare Krishna. It's not like we need money for the temple. Yeah, you're going to get it. You know, if you ask for a donation, you'll get it. What's the big deal? You know, like Bhattacharya says, we don't sell these books. We just ask for a little donation, whatever. But that's not the purpose. The purpose is not money.
So far experience, money will keep coming. You know,
it will
buy money. Yeah.
The more you show, the more you sell. Bhattacharya says, right? So if the motive is preaching, you'll find a way to condense it where you don't take a lot of time so you can preach to more people. You'll find the words to say. You'll find a way to empower these people to take it back. Listen, Vaishnavananda Bhakta Bill empowered me in 1973 or end of 72. I took it back to my hometown. I took it back to the nightclub where I used to sing and started empowering others. It was amazing. I'm not exaggerating. A guy that used to sing with me, his name was Jake. He was a really wonderful guy. I mean, he got so inspired. He actually even joined the temple for some months because of my insistence in encouraging him. So Bhakta Bill inspired me to take it back to my circle of friends. He didn't know that. I'm sure he wasn't referring to this passage in Chaitanya Charitamrita, but that's what happened. And that's what is happening. And that's what should happen. We should be so excited about Krishna consciousness that we just keep giving it to others and having confidence that the holy name, let the holy name do its own work. I know Haryash always talks about that. No, just let the holy name do its work. All you got to do is let him out, put him out there, and then everything else happens automatically. So
wonderful. Yeah,
thank you,
it's such a joyful process to sharing Krishna consciousness.
It is. It is. Thank
enjoyable
you.
all the time. Yeah. Thank you so much. Prabhu.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nitya Gopal. Prashad, I think, had something to say because he unmuted himself.
Oh, well, I was just thinking that you mentioned that Srila Prabhupada gave a lot of lectures, 10 or so on 551, Bhagavatam 551. And I know sometimes when even he's just talking, preaching, on a different text, but he will still mention the advice that Maharaj Rishabhadeva gave his sons.
Oh, absolutely.
Tapo Divya Putraka. He just shouted out. My dear sons, tapo, spiritual tapasya. You should engage in that. We're talking about it a lot of that.
Nunam pramatat kurute vikana, the Indriya Pritaya apranoti, the Saudamanye yata atmo. Now, asanapli klesha da asadeha. All those verses, oh my God. Fifth canto.
Yeah, you can do the DJ on that shloka.
You never know, Nitya Gopal. We might. You never know.
Tapo divyam putraka yena sudye. Divine austerity. Tapo divyam. There was a devotee from Philadelphia. His name was Tapo Divyam. It's so funny. He had such a hard time controlling his senses, but that was his name, Tapo Divyam. Divine austerity.
That's where he got that name, Prabhu, I think.
Yeah. No, when I got initiated, the devotee who got initiated at the same time, Prabhupada said, and your name will be Ekadashi. And then Prabhupada says, you can do every day. And that boy got so scared because Prabhupada's telling me I got to do Ekadashi every day. He said, no, I'm just joking. But sometimes by your name, you can remember. My name is Balabhadra Bhattacharya Das. He was the servant who went with Lord Chaitanya to Vrindavan, who served Lord Chaitanya. And I was thinking, how did Prabhupada give me that name? So my service for many years is just serving Lord Chaitanya on the altar in the mood of Balabhadra Bhattacharya. And that Vaishnavananda Bhakta Bill, who I told you about, who made me a devotee, his name is Vaishnavananda. Vaishnavananda was a mystic yogi in Lord Chaitanya's association. Bhakta Bill was a practicing yogi from New York when he came to ISKCON Atlanta. Prabhupada didn't know him. He gave him the name of a Vaishnava mystic yogi. And he would, when he was a new bhakta, he would sit in the little area by Prabhupada's didn't have a vyasana, little platform. He would sit there in his yoga asana position like that, And he's such a great devotee, such a great soul.
Amazing. Such wonderful pastimes, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
And we thank the devotees for joining us. Vanchakraptivyascha,
Kripasinavevcha,
Patitanam
Patitanam
Pavanebhyo,
Pavanebhyo,
Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai
jai.
Haribol.
Thank you for another powerful and lightning class, Prabhu. It's really lightning. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Haribol.
Very